All right, cuz so crazy notable bar I want to talk about today.
Hmm.
Now, at the time that this song came out, people could say or argue that Mobb Deep was a little bit past their prime. This was 9 years after the infamous album was, years after the Hell on Earth album, which was their second project. I think this was right before the G Unit conversion. You remember when Mobb Deep was part of G Unit for a hot minute?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the thing. But this is off of the America's Nightmare project. It's the Got It Twisted track, which I think actually there was a remix to it as well. But I don't know if this verse specifically was off of the remix, but it was definitely on the original version. Crazy bar because first off, rest in peace to Prodigy. A true legend in the game, one of the best. Arguably one of the best lyricists of all time. But I've listened to this track before and it always stood out to me. And then it came up again on the shuffle. I was like, damn, that's a wild thing to say. But essentially, dude, the bar goes as is. But and again, for those who know Mobb Deep, they're the gritty, the grimy New York Queens, boom bap, kind of thuggery type rap, old school hip hop to its finest. So I want to preface that because the bars will make sense. But he goes, "You can come right in my crib and get it for shiz. You being manslaughtered in front of my kids. A little bit of blood will get on my daughter. It's nothing she'll live." So first off, it's
Well,
like, okay, being willing to commit manslaughter in front of your kids, crazy in itself, right?
right.
But then for your daughter to get blood and evidence on her after the fact and you brushing that off nonchalantly,
So
absolutely
it says
wild,
she'll
dude.
live. Like that's the
He
yeah.
said a little blood get on my daughter is nothing, she'll live. I'm just like, damn, son, like the manslaughter act itself is enough. Your kids are in the room, terrible idea. Then
Right.
she's gonna have, bloodstain evidence on her, but don't worry about it, she'll be all right. Just absolutely wild, dude.
You honestly threw me off with that one. I didn't know that one was gonna take such a left turn. But I mean,
Same.
in hindsight, I think he's one of those people that's saying like what we would never think of or what we would never like. What would we do in that situation? And it's one of those things where, as a parent, it's like you will do anything to protect your kids, like by
Facts.
any means necessary. And when you think about how vivid that is, of like if it was be between you and the other person, obviously you want it to be you, right? But if
Yeah.
it's in the case where your kids are in the vicinity and then ends up happening where a crime is committed and then evidence, like you said, evidence that's like you have nothing else but to say, oh, like she'll be all right, like it's cool, like there's nothing, it's just it's chocolate syrup, not nothing to worry about.
Dude, the childhood trauma alone from that, just thinking about that would be detrimental. I mean, and again, as you said, as a parent and having kids, it's like, dude, just Prodigy was wild for that bar, dude. I mean, and rest in peace to the boy. I don't know if he really realized what he said, but looking back on it from a listener perspective and now being a dad, I'm like, that's a crazy bar.
That's about
Crazy.
30 years worth of therapy he's going to have to put aside for, so hope that was in the trust fund.